Hello, it's the Brian Hornback Experience. This is episode 152, and you should know by now, we have an election coming up, March the 5th, 2024. Early voting starts in a week from tomorrow. I'm taping this, recording this, putting this up on February the 6th. 1 week from tomorrow starts early vote. That means that when you take your significant other, your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever, out for Valentine's Day, you can go cast an early vote before you go to dinner because you're not going to beat the crowd. Anyway, the guest that I have right now is running for county commission up in the 8th district. That's my old stomping grounds. That's where I was born and raised. Well, that's where I was raised. And from the time I was in about the second grade until 1992, I have Kara Daley. Kara, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Brian?
I'm great. So, Kara
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So, Kara Daley is kind of from the Gibbs community, maybe just across the Union County line, but you pretty much been in the Gibbs community most all your life, and
Yes, sir.
you went to work at, 16 at a place called Twisters, and what happened there?
So, started my first job at 16 at Twisters. Back then, it was called Twister Shakes and Sundays. And we started there at 16, worked for the Miller family for 13 years through high school and college, and kind of made a plan that when they were ready to retire, that I would buy both locations, and that's what I did about 2 years ago, and then shortly after that, I opened a third Twisters location on Central Street.
That's right. So both of those Twisters are in the 8th district. One's on
Yes, sir.
Washington, one's on Washington Pike, one's on Tazewell Pike, and then you took over, or you set up shop in the old Rankin's restaurant on Central Avenue Pike.
Yes, we're celebrating almost 2 years
Wow.
there. It's been really fun.
So the breakfast at Twisters is really not that different than what Rankin served, right?
Yeah, I think truly the big thing that appealed to me when I got the call that Rankin's was closing, if I wanted to come look, was we had a lot of the same menu items. So it was an easy transition, not only for me, but for the customers as well. They, still get to come in and enjoy the same things they did at Rankin's.
Right. Well, 9 times out of 10, when I go to Rankin's or Twisters in the morning, I do wind up with country ham somewhere on my plate. But anyway, and for those of you in Knoxville that are familiar with Pal's, I'm not going to say that Twisters has exactly what Pal's has, but if you've eaten a breakfast item from Pal's and you got their what I think they call them cheesy tots, Twisters has them. So
Yep, that's a big thing for us. People love them.
So those are tater tots with a little bit of cheese inside. So I'm not saying that it's the same thing that Pal's has, but I'm saying it's the same thing Pal's has. Anyway, you kind of got, I don't want to say you got in the race late. That I heard that. Well, you've said that. I've heard that mentioned, but just like in business, when you set a deadline, then as long as you meet the deadline, you're not really in it late, right? But anyway,
Right.
but you got in the race toward the qualifying deadline, and I think you've said that basically there was one person in the race, and you decided to give the district a choice, and then there was 3 of you. But anyway, just kind of talk about how you decided that to give the people of the 8th district a choice for Kara Daley for county commission.
I go back to over the last 2 years, just even with opening the third Twisters location, that really opened a lot of doors politically as far as meeting people and the new faces I saw. And that made, a little bit of a difference and, starting to listen to concerns. And I'd always kind of toyed with it. Like, I'd love to get involved somewhere. And then, like you said, one person in the race, and I said, why not? I can make a difference. I want to make a difference. Our voices need to be location. And so I did. I went and picked up a petition about a week before the deadline to turn it in, and been working hard ever since.
And you don't, as far as I can tell, this is your first time being in this is your first time running in politics. I don't think any of your family are in politics, correct?
Correct. This is the first. Now, my grandfather, back in, God, it's been a long time ago, he ran for sheriff in Union County.
Oh, wow.
But that's been, several years ago.
Right. So,
yeah, but other than that, that's it.
So, I mean, it really is unique in the fact that the 8th District has kind of been represented, since Mike McMillan, the school board member, passed away, but his father served from 1966 until he passed away in 92. Mike served from 92 to like 2006, then took a little hiatus from 2006 to 2010, and then served on the school board from 2010 until, as I dropped my pen in the floor, from 2010 until he just passed away last week. And then there's also been some other consistencies. So really and truthfully, the 8th District has been represented for a great number of years by just 3 or 4 voices.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's kind of what brought you into this, into offering the 8th District a different choice as well, right?
Well, yeah, and that's it. We have, a good point that I even tried to make today was if we keep putting the same people and the same type of people in these seats, then we're never going to see change. And I think right now we need some positive change in our community. And, I bring a different perspective to that. I'm very young. I mean, I'm 32 years old, and, I'm invested in our community, in our district, and, with a daughter that goes to school in the district, having the 2 businesses, and I think I can bring a fresh perspective to commission.
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned your daughter. Your daughter's she's at Ritta Elementary School, which is in the district. I mean, obviously you have to live in the district to serve the district. But so what do you see as some of the, we'll talk about some of the key issues, but what do you see? Of course, school board kind of takes care of school issues, but what do you see as some of the most pressing issues for schools in the 8th District?
I think a big thing, not necessarily affecting Ritta right now, but I see it in our Gibbs schools, is the capacity.
Right.
I think at Gibbs, and I could be wrong on these numbers a little bit, but they're having very, mid-20 classrooms. Whereas at Ritta, Eden's in like a 19-kid classroom. And, and that's a big thing to me. I want, her to get more one-on-one with the teacher and making, being more involved there. So I think capacity is going to be a big issue, especially as we continue to grow in the county.
Well, and I think, obviously down here where I live in Southwest Knox County, we filled up just about every piece of property. We're now doing some postage stamps here and there, but residential development has really started to explode, particularly in Gibbs, and then a little bit over into Carter and the rest of the district. But I'm assuming that's what's driving the population to fill up the schools in the 8th District, is the fact that they're starting to get sewers, starting to be able to start building big subdivisions now, right?
Yeah, there's been a lot of subdivisions pop up, especially in Gibbs, over the last several years. I've seen that, just being a citizen and being a business owner in the district. They're popping up everywhere, and like you said, the growth that's coming. District 8 has about roughly 4,000 to 5,000 acres that is set to be developed and used in the growth plan, and which is great. I fully, support that, but like we said, that growth and the population increase, that's definitely affecting not only our schools, but other things.
Well, and really that growth plan, I think County Commission set to vote on that this month or next month. That's going to happen before you get on commission. But it's, I think from what I understand, Kim Frazier, the at-large commissioner in seat 11, really kind of went to bat to try to protect some of the rural part of the 8th district. And so, I mean, I think that's helping a little bit, but at the same time, growth's going to happen.
Yeah, I definitely think growth is inevitable. That's coming. It's coming whether we like it or not. And I think the growth plan truly outlines, a good plan of keeping some of our green space. But if we don't have a plan, then we're going to get into that urban sprawl, and that's what we want to avoid. So I definitely think there's a good plan in place. It's just, we have to get there, and what improvements should we be making, and what can we do?
Well, and also the 8th district has a larger number of Knox County Sheriff's Office employees. And I know that right there near your Washington Pike, Twisters is the detention facility, which obviously holds the greatest number of inmates. But I know you've said in places where I've heard you talk that you back the blue. So just kind of talk about the sheriff's department, and then after that we'll kind of talk about. I mean, we've talked about schools, but this last year, the county commission really took care of bringing the salaries up to a good level for corrections officers and the patrol officers. And then I'm sure this year the teachers are going to be wanting something similar. But yeah, just talk about both police and school employees and where they are in your priorities.
So definitely, like I've said in a lot of my places that I've spoke, is I do back the blue. That is dear to my heart. I became friends with so many officers coming in and out of the restaurants. I mean, Twisters is a hub for them.
Right.
I feel like there's always a cop car in one of our parking lots, which I'm glad that they, come and eat and feel okay to do so. And, supporting them, that's gonna mean a lot. It's gonna be, building trust with our communities with them, supporting, making sure they get training and resources that they need. And like you said, they just went to bat for the pay increase, which I think was great. And that's something too, that's gonna come up again. And I'm not against that by any means. Same with the teachers. That was brought up a few weeks ago, if I would support a salary increase for them. And sure, I think teachers deserve that, and I think the police officers deserve that. Because how do you put a price on someone for police officers who go and risk their lives every day for us,
Right.
And my biggest thing, yes, I would support it and fight for it, but we have to be smart about it and where we're getting the money and how do we do it.
Well,
I think that's where a lot of creative thinking has to come in play.
Right, and you have a business that has 3 locations, so you know how to meet a payroll, and and you obviously know how to balance the books. So I mean, you have to. At the end of the day, I guess you bring that business expertise to the county commission that may or may not be lacking, right? So
yeah, and I definitely think that's another thing that sets me apart. I mean, I am very business minded. I deal with money every day and have for the last 12 years. And, that's what we do. I mean, that's what commissioners do. A lot of is budgeting and money.
So infrastructure, I know the roads in the 8th district have a tendency to be very long and very narrow. And as these homes begin to pop up, that's gonna, at some point they're gonna have to start widening some roads and getting them up to speed. Any thoughts on that?
I definitely think that the roads have to be addressed before we can continue, to put up these subdivisions and these developments and our main roads. I mean, that's the big issue, that's what everyone's kind of fighting on is, the traffic times and the flow and the accidents that we see down Washington Pike and Tassel Pike. And a good example I gave today was it took me an hour and 15 minutes to get from my home in Gibbs drop my daughter off at Rita, and get to my Central Street location.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, and that's rush hour, that's school
Right.
traffic. I get
Right.
all that. But it's also our population increase. Our
Well-
roads just cannot handle it.
And, you know, I actually came through, I was up in Quarrington, was coming back around 2:30, 2:45 one day. And boy, something really needs to, they really need to do something with the school traffic at Rita, because it backs
up.
It backs way up Washington Pike. So that's interesting. And of course, you know, all the locals know all the shortcuts to take, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so what are you hearing as you're out there knocking on doors and as you're talking to people at communities? Or have they been receptive to Kara Daley as a candidate?
Yes, I've been received very well. I'm very thankful for that. Like I said, I think a lot of people are very interested in, you know, the younger generation, the new perspective, and that's what a lot of people are saying that they want, and that's what they want to see. And the door knocking's been wonderful. That's the favorite part about my job at Twisters, meeting all of my customers. So going door to door has been very humbling, and for them to put their trust in me is just an insane experience and feel, because it truly is just so humbling.
Right. Well, you know, you mentioned being 32. Garrett Holt's another one who's just turned 30. So, you know, the county has the possibility of having two 30-year-olds on county commission, and so I do think that brings a unique perspective
For sure.
to the dynamic that is the county commission, because it's not just one person on commission, it's you working with 11 people on commission.
Correct.
So, you know, I think you've obviously done that now in your business career, and I think that helps you as you run for commission. So people can find you on Facebook at elect, it's facebook.com, elect.Kara, Kara Daley, elect Kara Daley. She has a email address, karamdaily@gmail.com. So that's the primary place where people can read about you and send you a message and get involved in the campaign, right?
Yep. If anyone has any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to take the time to listen and see what we can get done.
Right. Well, I appreciate you being on here, and I'm going to give you the last couple of minutes just to ask those folks that are in the 8th District to vote for you on March the 5th in the Republican primary. Early voting starts February 14th through the 27th. And for those of you in the Gibbs community, and in the Carter community, there's an early vote center at Carter, as always. There's an early vote center at New Harvest Park. And this year, for this election, there's one in the heart of Gibbs, and it's going to be at Clear Springs Baptist Church. So I guess that means, Kara, you got to spread your people out even thinner than you were going to.
Yeah, we've got a lot of volunteers going out to hit all these voting centers.
Right. So I'll go ahead and let you have the last word and ask everybody for their vote, and I appreciate you being on here.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks again for having me, Brian. No, I appreciate everyone listening, and I truly want to make a difference for our county and for our district, and together I feel like we can do that. I'll be available as your commissioner to listen to the concerns and take those to heart, and I humbly ask for your vote on Election Day. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you. Bye-bye.